This video is sponsored by PTCGLstore.com, a great place for you to buy Pokemon TCG code cards. Please remember to use my code NIGHT22 at checkout so that you can get a 5% discount. Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be showcasing GOREBYSS from the Destined Rivals expansion set. GOREBYSS is actually a pretty strong attacker. It has a crescendo wave attack. Starting with just a single water energy, it deals 30 damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. But what makes this attack so unique is that before doing damage, you may attach any number of basic water energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon. So it's actually self-energizing, which is so awesome. And just by attaching 11 water energies, you will already be dealing 330 damage, which may just allow you to knock out most stage 2 Pokemon in the game. And I also added a few reversal energies, which can count as 3 energies of every type as long as your opponent has taken more prizes than you, and this is attached to your evolution Pokemon. This will definitely help boost your energy count when you need that extra firepower. We also have plenty of ways to draw into more energy cards so that you can potentially increase GOREBYSS attack every single turn. First, I'll be using mostly Kofu. I really like this one because it just consistently draws you cards without any drawbacks, and it doesn't depend on your opponent's setup either. All you have to do is just put 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, you can draw 4 cards. Next is Team Rocket's Petrel. This one simply lets you search your deck for any trainer card and put it into your hand. This is very useful for searching out the item cards you need to get more energies like Earthen Vessel or Letter of Encouragement. And I'm also pairing this with Team Rocket's Factory so that we can draw 2 more cards after using it. And I also have MC's Hype. This one simply lets you draw 2 cards, but if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, you can draw 4 cards instead. I just wanted to experiment on this card, and so far, it hasn't disappointed me yet. Now, it may seem scary attaching all that energy to just one Pokemon, especially your opponent can just easily knock it out during their turn, and all that energy could just end up in the discard pile. But thankfully, GOREBYSS is meant to pair with this Huntail with a Diver's Catch ability. When one of your water Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you may put all basic water energy attached to that Pokemon into your hand instead of the discard pile. So if your opponent knocks out GOREBYSS, you can just put all the basic energies attached to it back into your hand, and then you can just reattach all the energies again when you attack with your next GOREBYSS. Just be aware though that the ability only works if your opponent knocks out your Pokemon with a regular attack. So if your opponent uses Munkidori, for example, to transfer damage counters to GOREBYSS and knock it out, all the energies will be discarded. But just as a failsafe, I have included a few recovery items such as Max Rod Ace Pack card. This allows you to put 5 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy from your discard pile into your hand. I also have Super Rod, Superior Energy Retrieval, and 4 copies of Night Stretcher. One downside to this build though is that both GOREBYSS and Huntail share the same basic pre-evolution Pokemon, Clamperl, and your setup can get held back tremendously if one or more of your Clamperls are prized. And this is why we also have a copy of Redeemable Ticket. This allows you to count your prize cards, shuffle them, put them on the bottom of your deck, then take that many cards from the top of your deck and put them face down as your prizes. Just be careful when using this though, because you could just end up prizing more of the cards you really need from your deck. If at all possible though, you always want to have at least 3 Clamperls set up on your board at all times. One to evolve into Huntail to preserve the energies, and for your 2 lines of GOREBYSS, one attacker and the other one for backup. And we also have a 2-2 line of the Dunsparce with a runaway draw ability, which lets you draw 3 cards, after which you shuffle this Pokemon and everything attached back into your deck. And since majority of our Pokemon have really low HP, we also have Shaman with a Flower Curtain ability. This prevents all damage done to your bench Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. This GOREBYSS and Huntail combo is a very straightforward and simple build. You just basically stack a lot of energies and destroy anything that gets in your way. However, one major downside to this build is that majority of the Pokemon have really low HP. And with so many decks that can deal damage counters all throughout your board, if your opponent takes multiple knockouts against your Clamperls, it just becomes impossible to recover from those situations. But if you can set up fast and take multi-prize knockouts every single turn, there's always that chance for you to win any type of matchups. Anyways, that's pretty much it. You can find the complete deck list in the description below, and now please enjoy the following gameplay videos showcasing GOREBYSS and Huntail. Before we get into the video, I have a small request. If you're liking the content I create, please leave a like to this video, and please support this channel by subscribing if you haven't already. This is a small click for you, but for me, it means a lot. Thank you so much for all of your support. On to our first match. I will be going first in this matchup, and I'm going to start with Clamperl in the active spot. My opponent will mulligan, and it looks like we're going against Gardevoir EX. We can draw 1 extra card, and they're going to start with Munkidori. Okay, we got an energy. What you want to do is to set up at least 2 or 3 clamp pearls to start. So I'm just going to use Ultra Ball. And I'll discard these 2. Get another clamp pearl. And put it on the bench. I'm just going to end my turn here. Next turn we can evolve into Huntail at least. But with the energies that we have, we're not going to be dealing any knockouts anytime soon. My opponent will set up Pheasantipede EX. They'll attach a Psychic Energy to Monkey Dory. Now it's our turn. We got another Clamp Pearl. I can attach an energy, evolve into Huntail, and what I could do is just use Shell Press. That will reduce the damage. So even if they attack with Monkey Dory, we should be able to survive the hit. But they have Boss's Orders, and they can knock out my Clamp Pearl. Okay, that's fine. That actually preserved our energy, and now since they've taken more prices than we have, that will activate Reversal Energy. So I'm just gonna evolve into GOREBYSS, and then I can attach Reversal Energy, and we're hitting for 120 damage, enough to knock out this Monkey Dory. So that's gonna get us our first prize as well. And we got Kofu. Alright, that's even better. Thankfully, we had the Reversal Energy. Slowly but surely, my opponent's setting up their Ralts. Another Monkey Dory is set up after getting it with Night Stretcher. They also drew 3 cards with Pheasantipede because we did knock out one of their Pokemon last turn. They'll attach an energy to Pheasantipede. They don't really care if they discard the energies because they're just gonna accelerate those with Gardevoir EX. I'm hoping we can build up enough energy so that we can actually knock out their Gardevoir EX. But other than that, I know for sure that Gardevoir builds focus on single price attackers such as Drifloon and Screamtail, so we gotta watch out for those. They're gonna get more energies from their deck with Earthen Vessel, and they're just gonna end their turn. Alright, cool. Let me go ahead and use Kofu. We put those 2 on the bottom of our deck, draw 4 cards, and we're just gonna use Night Stretcher to get another Clamp Pearl. And we're gonna use Crescendo Wave. So we'll attach all of these water energies, deal 120 damage, get another prize for that, for knocking out their Ralts, and we got Max Rod. That's actually a really good card. So now, the Reversal Energy is not into effect, so we are only hitting for 4 times the water energies that GOREBYSS has attached to it. But now each time they knock us out, Huntail's ability will take into effect, and all those water energies will just go back into our hand. And once they knock out GOREBYSS, we can just use Max Rod to recover it, and just keep attacking. Keep our lineup of GOREBYSS in play. So they're gonna attach an energy with Gardevoir EX while damaging it, and they will transfer those damage with Monkey Dory. I mean, they have to make a decision whether or not they're gonna attack with Gardevoir EX. They're gonna use a Yono. Okay, that actually got us better cards. We got Super Rod as well, Buddy Buddy Poffin to set up more basic Pokemon on our bench. I'm just thankful that Gardevoir EX doesn't have access to Pokemon that can attack multiple targets. They can use Monkey Dory to transfer damage, but they have Bench Snipe with Screamtail, but that's it. And that's basically the downside to my build, is that Clamp Pearl's just, the low HP aspect to it is not good, because if you go against a really bad matchup like Dragapult EX, you can just take multiple knockouts. So my opponent's gonna knock out our GOREBYSS. Huntail's ability takes into effect. We receive those energies back into our hand, but we need to draw into GOREBYSS. I'll use Buddy Buddy Poffin to set up another Clamp Pearl. Use Kofu. Draw 4. Okay, we got Max Rod. Thankfully, we got that. So we can recover these 2. We can evolve into another GOREBYSS this turn. And I'm just going to get a lot of Dunsparce so that we can draw into more cards later on. And then I'm just gonna... I mean, at 7 energies, we can deal significant damage, but it's not gonna be enough to knock it out, right? So I'll just use Crescendo Wave one more time, attach all of these water energies. We have 7 total right now, and we're dealing 210 damage. Unless my opponent has another dark energy attached to their other Monkey Dory, they can transfer 6 damage counters, and that can actually knock out our Clamperl. And that's one thing that your opponent can actually use against you. If they knock out your attacker as well as your backup Clamperl to evolve into Gorebyss, you pretty much run out of attackers, and they're just gonna continue to knock out your Pokemon until you lose. So if you can strategize around that, where your opponent can't knock out multiple targets, that would be the best route to take. But sometimes it's really hard to get around those powerful types of matchups. So my opponent now has Drifloon. It has Bravery Charm to add more HP, so they can actually deal as much as 300 damage. They're gonna boss my Huntail, and that's gonna be bad, because we will not be able to recover our energies if they knock out Gorebyss. So that's another strategy that your opponent can use against you. It's just knock out your Huntail. And if you can't set up another one, if they knock out Gorebyss with all those energies, you lose all of them and you just discard all of them. And that can happen sometimes. That's why I also have a lot of recovery items in this build to help us get as much energies as we can back into our deck. So they're gonna take a knockout against our Huntail. Okay, we got Fesendipity, dude. The heart of the cards. At least we can draw 3 cards here. We got Kofu. We also have Team Rocket Spectral if we need to. What I could do is actually use Team Rocket Spectral, and I'm just gonna knock out this Gardevoir EX. If they don't have any way to accelerate energy, we should be okay. So we got 2 prizes for that. And at this point, we're at our opponent's mercy, because at 40 damage on Drifloon, triple that, that's 120 damage. So they can knock out our Gorebyss. They're setting up another Gardevoir EX lineup. And we're gonna lose all that energy because we don't have Huntail. But that's okay. At least we knocked out their main energy accelerator. And all we have to do is just knock out this Drifloon, and we should be well on our way. As long as they can't accelerate energies, they can't attack with the single prize Pokemon in there that is available to their deck. So they're gonna attack with Balloon Blast, dealing 120 damage, knocking out our Gorebyss, and we lose all the energies as well. Everything is discarded. So we have to recover our energies. We have 7 in our discard pile. Hey, there it is. That's why I have superior energy retrieval in this deck as well. A lot of the other Gorebyss builds that I've seen doesn't have that type of recovery, so that's why I have that. So we have Night Stretcher. What I could do is just get Gorebyss. We can knock out their Drifloon and then go from there. We don't need that much energy to actually knock out this Drifloon either, so I need Huntail. I need to recover my Clamperls as well. Let me go ahead and use Ultra Ball, discard these 2. Okay, we don't have Huntail. Let's go ahead and get the Dunsparce, evolve that. We can use Runaway Draw. Hey, we got Super Rod. Okay, that's gonna help for sure. And then you always want to make sure what's still available. Let me use Team Rocket's Petrel, get Night Stretcher. And then I'm gonna get a Huntail. That way we can recover our energies. And then Reversal Energy is not gonna be useful, so I'm just gonna discard it. And just get 4 energies from our discard pile back into our hand. Attach an energy to GOREBYSS. And then, I mean, if they evolve into Gardevoir EX, they can get another attacker out here. Yeah, I'm just gonna retreat into Dunsparce, I think. I need to set up more Clamperls. I could recover with Super Rod next turn, but at the last price remaining, at the last price remaining, they're just gonna knock out my attacker, right? So what I'm gonna do, what I'm planning to do, as long as my opponent doesn't have a boss's orders, I can, or another dark energy on Monkey Door, because if they can damage, they can just knock out my GOREBYSS, knock out my Dunsparce, and then they could just win the game. But I'm hoping they don't. What I could do is just use Kofu, draw into more energies. We should have a reversal energy left in the deck. And once they've taken at least one prize this turn, I was gonna say I could use Counter Catcher, but they're just gonna attack probably with Gardevoir EX. We can probably one-hit knockout this Gardevoir EX to get the last 2 prizes. Okay, they're just gonna attack with Gardevoir EX. Can we get enough energies to power up GOREBYSS to knock out this Gardevoir EX is the question. Let's go ahead and use Fastendipity, draw 3. We can use Super Rod to just recover energies. We're just gonna focus on energies, guys. And then we're gonna use Kofu. Put those to the bottom. We draw. And then we got Reversal Energy. Look at this. And we can use Night Stretcher to get the last energy in the discard. We can attach this. Since we're behind our prices, we can use Crescendo Wave. That because our Reversal Energy is also activated, and we're dealing enough damage to knock out their Gardevoir EX, getting us our last 2 prizes. Alright, we made it. Good game. On to game number 2. I had to mulligan twice. I will be going first in this matchup, and I'm going to start with Fastendipity EX in the active spot. My opponent will draw 2 extra cards from our mulligan. And okay, we're going against Ethan's Ho-Oh EX along with Ethan's Magcargo. We drew into a Buddy Buddy Poffin, which is good. I'll just set up Cleffa and Clamperl. And we do have an Ultra Ball. Again, you want to set up your at least 2 Clamperls to start, right? So I'm just going to discard those 2. Get another Clamperl. I'll retreat my Fastendipity to my Cleffa. And I'm just gonna end my turn here. So for the most part, Ethan's Ho-Oh EX, they should be able to attack on their first turn going second. But they need 2 Ethan's Ho-Oh EX and 4 Fire Energies to accelerate. And since they already have Latias EX, they can just easily retreat this Ethan Slugma. And they can attack, knock out our Cleffa. That will get them their first prize. But this should be an easy win for us, hopefully. Because they are fire type and they're weak to water. So we should be able to easily knock out any of their Pokemon. And if we just knock out 3 of their Ho-Oh, we should be able to win. But they're going to use Prime Catcher early on in the game. Okay. We're going to get our Fastendipity EX in the active along with Latias in theirs. They can easily retreat it, and they're just gonna charge up their Slugma. So they're not planning on attacking with Ho-Oh EX just yet. And they're just gonna end their turn. Okay, well, we can attach an energy. Thankfully, we drew into that. Get our Cleffa into the active, use Team Rocket's Petrel. And I'm just gonna get Buddy Buddy Poffin to set up other basics here. Get Dunsparce and another Clamperl. And I'm just gonna use Grasping Draw so that we can draw 6 cards. And look at this, we got Huntail, GOREBYSS, and the Dunsparce to help us draw into more cards, and even Kofu. Kofu is so awesome in this deck, guys. It's I think it's the best supporter card to be in this build. gets you 4 cards every single time you use it. It doesn't matter how many cards you already have in your hand too. So now we can start attacking next turn. Again, we're hitting for weakness, so we can easily knock out their fire-type Pokemon. And also, we have a 2-to-1 advantage in terms of prize cards, because the only 2 prizers they can knock out is our Festinipity EX, but we can knock out multiple 2 prizers from their build. So they're just gonna attack with Magcargo, discarding 1 energy to knock out our Cleffa. That gets them their first prize. And here it is. This is gonna be our cycle, basically. So we can evolve into a Huntail, Gorebyss, evolve into the Dunsparce. We can draw 3 with Flip the Script because my opponent did knock out our Cleffa last turn. And then we can use Kofu. I don't think we need Shaman in this matchup, so we can just put those to the bottom. Draw 4. And so far we have 2 basic energies. I can use Night Stretcher to recover 1 more. And that should be enough to knock out this Magcargo, actually. So I'm just going to use Crescendo Wave to attack. Catch the energies we have from our hand. Knock out their Magcargo. And we get our first prize. We got another energy. So we're pretty much all set. Our cycle begins. And despite the low HP, firepower, when it comes to firepower, this Gorebyss lineup, or this Gorebyss Huntail combo, is actually really, really strong when it comes to dealing a lot of damage. Again, the only weakness is if your opponent can deal multiple knockouts. If they can knock out your backup attacker, you're not going to be able to attack every single turn, and that could just mess up the whole cycle. Let's see what my opponent does here. They can evolve into another Magcargo. I guess that's the thing with this Ho-Oh EX Magcargo build, is that it focuses mainly on dealing a lot of damage and taking multiple prizes when they knock out high HP 2 prizers. But against single prize builds, especially against water type builds, right? It has a really poor win rate. I mean, they can use Ethan's Pinsir, I guess, to attack, but still, it's a very linear. Just attack whatever is in the active, and then they try and win by getting all the prizes. But again, we still have an advantage against this matchup because we can take multiple prizes by knocking out their Ho-Oh EX. So, they actually increased the damage because we did knock out their Pokemon last turn. So they're hitting for 170. They knock out our Gorebyss. Once again, we recover the energies thanks to Huntail. And so let's go ahead and continue with our attacks here. We can use Counter Catcher to actually knock out their Ho-Oh EX. But first, we're gonna use Max Rod to recover our Gorebyss. Attach this, we can keep attacking. But this time, we're gonna use Counter Catcher to knock out their Ho-Oh EX so that we can get 2 prizes. Get ahead in the prize trade here. I'll get rid of Team Rocket's factory. Get Gorebyss. So we're prepared for next turn. Use Runaway Draw. Draw 3. And let's go ahead and use Team Rocket's Betrayal. Get Letter of Encouragement. Since they knocked out our Pokemon, we can use it. Get 3 basic energies from our deck. And we can use the factory because we used Betrayal. We got another Letter of Encouragement. Look at this. And then it just flows, guys. This deck is awesome. So let's go ahead and use Gorebyss to attack. All we need is 7 energies. We can knock it out, dealing 420 damage. That's insane. We get 2 prizes for that. And so this is how the flow goes for this build, basically. Again, you always want to have 3 lineup for your Clamperls, 1 for Huntail. At least 2 lineups for GOREBYSS. Your main attacker and your backup once they knock out the active. And you always want to just keep recovering your backup attackers every single turn. But once you get that momentum, Letter of Encouragement, Earthen Vessel, Kofu, Team Rocket's Factory, and also Petrel. You can draw so many cards in a single turn along with the Dunsparce. It's insane. You can just get so much energy that once you build it up, you can deal so much damage. So once again, my opponent's gonna attack with their Pinsir, which is a single prizer. They'll knock it out. Huntail will recover our energies. And they're gonna use Iono, but you know what? That doesn't matter. What's nice about our combo here is that Huntail just puts those energies back to our hand. Our opponent can't shuffle it back to the deck. So we're gonna recover those 7 energies into our hand. Put our Clamperl in the active. We can draw 3 with Flip the Script. Oh, we got Night Stretcher. Alright, that's... Dude, we can just keep recovering GOREBYSS. That's insane. I guess that's one downside too. If you can't evolve into a GOREBYSS, you're pretty much just gonna lose a turn. Thankfully, we always have a way to get GOREBYSS back into action here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just attach 4 energies. Knock out their Pinsir. Get 1 more prize. We got Clamperl. Awesome. So they're gonna knock out my GOREBYSS. We can recover the energies, but we don't have another lineup of attackers, which is not good. But they're gonna use Boss's Orders to boss Fastendipity EX, but now they can't use Iono to shuffle our hand, and that actually gives them an extra prize. So they're ahead in the prize trade. If we can just draw into like Counter Catcher, we should be able to win this game. But thankfully we have 2 Dunsparce, and all we need is to just alright, we can recover Fastendipity EX, draw 3. Hey, there it is, Counter Catcher. And we can actually just attach the Reversal Energy, because again, it is activated, Counter Catcher. And then I'm just gonna attack. Crescendo Wave, just maximize our attack here. And we're dealing 600 damage, that's crazy. Alright, that's gonna win us the game. Good game. Alright, on to our 3rd and final match. I had 2 mulligan once, which means my opponent can draw 1 extra card. They are going first. And we're gonna start with Cleffa and Dunsparce. And they're gonna start with Teal Mask, Ogerpon, EX. They also have Slitherwing on their bench. I believe this is a Raging Bolt EX matchup, which I think we can actually win. First, they're going to use Teal Dance ability. They can attach a Grass Energy to Ogerpon while drawing 1 card. And they're going to put Ditto into play. So probably they're just going to retreat Ogerpon into Ditto. This one has the Transformative Start ability. I believe you can only use this ability on your first turn, but it allows you to swap Ditto with another basic Pokemon from your deck and replace it in the active spot. And sure enough, this is a Raging Bolt EX matchup. This is a 2-to-1 prize trade, so I think we do have the advantage. They can take 1 prize for knocking out GOREBYSS, but we can take 2 prizes for knocking out the Raging Bolt EX. And we actually have the firepower to knock out their 2 prizers. So they also have Hoot Hoot. So they're using the Noctowl engine. They'll get a bunch of energies with Earthen Vessel, attach a Fighting Energy, and they're just gonna end their turn. Okay, let's go ahead and use Kofu first. Okay, we got Clamperl. So our priority is to set up as much Clamperls as possible early on in the game. I'll try and lessen my hand here, that way I can draw more cards with Grasping Draw. Okay, we got GOREBYSS. We can evolve into the Dunsparce next turn. And I could probably use Team Rocket's Petrel to get Buddy Buddy Puffin to set up more Clamperls. Again, you always want to have at least 2 or 3 set up on your board. My opponent's going to use Crispin. allowing them to search their deck for up to 2 different types of basic energy. They can put one in their hand, attach the other one to their Pokemon. So if they take a knockout here, that will activate Reversal Energy. We can get 3 more energies with Letter of Encouragement. That gives us, what, 8? No, 7 cards attached to Gorebyss. But that's only gonna hit for 140 or so damage, so it's not gonna be enough to knock out the Raging Bolt EX. For now, my opponent's using Noctowl's Jewel Seeker ability, allowing them to search for 2 trainer cards. So they have Prime Catcher and Nest Ball, so they can actually gust up our Serendipity EX into the active spot, but they do have to switch one of their Pokemon in the active as well. Most likely Ogerpon, but if they retreat, they'll have to discard an energy. And that's not going to be enough to knock out Serendipity because you need 3 energies to discard. But never mind, they have Latias EX. They got it with the Nest Ball. That gives all of their basic Pokemon with no retreat cost. So now they can easily retreat their Raging Bolt EX. They can use Prime Catcher to gust up our Serendipity. And they can just switch back their Raging Bolt EX in the active. And they can just take a knockout. And they even had energy attachment for turn yet. So they have a lot of energies available to them. So they're going to attack with Bellowing Thunder. Again, they have to discard 3 energies to get a knockout. And they're dealing exactly 210 damage to knock out Serendipity EX. And that will get my opponent their first 2 prizes of the game. So now what I could do is just pivot into Cleffa for the meantime. Because once I attack with Gorebyss, I'm just gonna lose it if my opponent knocks it out. Let's go ahead and evolve into the Dunsparce. Use Team Rocket's Betrayal to get our Poffin. Set up 2 more Clamperls. 1 is prized. Use Runaway Draw to draw 3. And I'll just use Poffin to set up 2 more Dunsparce. That way we can have it set up for drawing more cards later on. Might as well just use Letter of Encouragement. And then I'll just retreat into Clamperl first. But I can't evolve into it just yet. That's fine, I guess. I forgot I just put that into play. But I'll just evolve this guy. And I'll attach the Reversal Energy to my second Clamperl. So with that, my opponent has to make a choice whether or not to target our Gorebyss or our Clamperl with a Reversal Energy. But that should set us up for more energies next turn. If they target Gorebyss, we can just use Night Stretcher to recover, evolve, attach Reversal Energy. And since my opponent has already taken more prizes, Reversal Energy is in effect, and then we should have enough energy to at least take a knockout during our next turn. So they're going to use Professor Sada's Vitality to accelerate more energy to their Raging Bolts, also allowing them to draw 3 cards. Gonna use Night Stretcher to recover Grass Energy so they can use Teal Dance ability. I just hope they don't have a boss orders. But either way, I think we should be clear. It doesn't matter which one they target. We should be able to take a knockout during our next turn. They have Bravery Charm though. That will increase the HP to 290. And they're just gonna attack and knock out our Clamperl, discarding only 1 energy card. Again, Raging Bolt EX attack depends on how many energies they discard, multiplied by 7. Okay, we got another Gorebyss. We can just then Night Stretcher our Clamperl, and then actually we need more energies here. let's go ahead and attach the reversal energy to our other Clamperl. Since we have Gorebyss, thankfully we have it. We can have enough energy to knock out this Raging Bolt despite the increased HP. So we're dealing 180 right now, plus 6. Yeah, that should be enough. 4 should be enough. So 300 damage, knocking out the Raging Bolt EX. We got our first 2 prizes. We got Counter Catcher and another Clamperl. So our lineup is all set, basically. If they knock out our Pokemon, we can just attack with another Gorebyss. But we need to find our Huntail, because if they knock out our Gorebyss, all those energies will go into the discard pile. That's why, again, we do have energy recovery items in this deck. That's gonna help us out. One way my opponent can kind of change up the price trade, though, is if they attack with Slitherwing. It is a 1-prizer, and it should be able to deal enough damage to knock out any of our Pokemon here. Okay, they're going to use Flip the Script to draw 3 extra cards. So as of right now, all we really need is 10 cards on Gorebyss to take a knockout against Raging Bolt EX. And there's plenty more Pokemon on their bench that we can knock out so that we can get 2 more prizes. So we just need to take 2 knockouts, basically. But I don't think they're going to attack with Slitherwing because it has lightning energy. And they've concentrated all the energies on Raging Bolt EX as of right now. So they're just going to attack with Raging Bolt. Okay. So that gives us a target for next turn. Thankfully, we have a second lineup of Gorebyss, but we need to get that Huntail. That way we can keep the energies in our hand instead of it being discarded. So they'll discard 2 energies. They'll knock out our Gorebyss. We'll pivot into our second one. Got another Clamperl. Let's go ahead and use Kofu. And I'll shuffle these 2 to the bottom of my deck. Draw 4. Okay, we got the Dunsparce. Draw 3 more. Okay, finally, we got Huntail. So let's evolve this. Put the reversal energy. Play Team Rocket's Factory. And I'm just gonna use Max Rod. I'll just recover 1 Clamperl, get 4 basic water energies back into our hand, and since they didn't increase their HP, this is enough to knock out the Raging Bolt EX. And I'll just maximize my damage. 270 damage to knock out the Raging Bolt. And again, that's gonna get us 2 more prizes. We got basic energy and Night Stretcher. So, as long as we have Night Stretcher, they knock out our Gorebyss. We just have to recover it, evolve into another one for our next turn, and just keep attacking. So this is basically a perfect board state that we're in. You just need to get that Huntail evolved so that you can preserve the energies and your Clamperl lineups so that you have an attacker every single turn. And our hand looks really good. We have Night Stretcher to just keep energizing or keep recovering our Gorebyss. And we even have Kofu to help us draw into more cards. So my opponent finally puts their Slitherwing in the active spot. But they need another fighting energy to attack with it. Another Raging Bolt comes into play, another Ogerpon. So they have plenty of energies, they just have to energize their attackers. So they probably have Professor Sada's Vitality to accelerate energy. They have 2 Hoot Hoots.
And there it is, Professor Sada's Vitality. So they can accelerate to Slitherwing and Raging Bolt. Draw 3. But once our reversal energy is gone, we need to build up our energies. And hopefully we can draw into our counter catcher. That way we can just target their 2 prizers. Because right now, once they knock out our GOREBYSS, if the only one we can knock out is this Slitherwing, my opponent can just take the last prize during their next turn after this one, and they will just win the game. So we have to get the final knockout next turn to one of their 2 prizers. Yes, let's activate Diver's Catch. Preserve all those basic energies into our hand. And I'm just gonna pivot into Cleffa for now. Got another GOREBYSS. Can at least have them discard their Pokemon on their bench. Because once we remove that Area 0 Underdepths, that deactivates the bench expansion. Alright. So, let's go ahead and get our counter catcher. There it is! That's it! So we can evolve into our GOREBYSS. Man, Kofu is so awesome. The best trainer card, or supporter card in this deck, guys. We have 8 cards, 8 energy cards in our hand. That's gonna be enough to actually knock out this Serendipity EX. Let's just maximize our damage here. And we're just gonna attack with Crescendo Wave. Let's attach all of these energies. 9 energies in total, and we're dealing 270 damage to get our last 2 prizes to win the game. Good game.
And that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching the Popsicleknight channel, and until next time, please stay safe and have a great day.